This saddle has been whittled down to virtually nothing. And our string action here at the 12th fret is about 4/64 of an inch. The neck relief is too shallow, 8/1000 of an inch here at the 5th fret. First things first is to pull the truss rod cover off and make sure the truss rod works. Otherwise, it wouldn't be much worth setting this guitar up. We are going to replace this saddle. I am not going to shim the saddle. I will certainly give the owner the original saddle back. So if he ever sells it, he's got the original parts. We're going to do a fret polish. When we're done with these, they're going to be much more shiny and beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and clean the fretboard, although this one's fairly clean. We're also going to repair the wire on the interior of the guitar. That has come loose from the top or the side of the guitar in here, so we're going to reattach that. Somebody's calling. I've pulled the pickup out of here, and this is not a passive pickup. It has a couple of batteries right here, and as you can see, they are green, oxidized, and corroded. This pickup probably doesn't work, and I will replace those batteries regardless of if they work, and I will sand those electrical contacts down to make sure that they are making good contact. Double-sided sticky tape has died. I will make a piece of double-sided sticky tape out of some super glue and a couple pieces of tape. The strings pulled off this guitar. I'm going to dress the wood and oil the neck, clean the neck, get this thing looking good. The frets are in pretty good shape. They just need a little bit of a TLC. There's a couple of pretty good dings. In fact, I'm going to give this guy a call and find out if he wants me to do a level on this fretboard. Have not yet turned the truss rod. Got to do that, make sure this guitar is even worth working on. Back with the J200 fret level on this guitar. The truss rod works perfectly, and I've got the neck set perfectly flat. You can see there's some pretty good divots up here in the fretboard. Can't give this guy his guitar back without solving that for him, so we're going to do a level. You can definitely feel that divot on these first 3 frets. I mean, it is absolutely noticeable. Here we are, all taped off with our avatar colored blue tape, and you can really see those divots now pronounced with that blue pen marking the tops of these frets. And as we run our fret leveling beam over the top of this fretboard, you will start to see where those divots are still visible and where low and high spots are on frets. The key to this is to make sure that your fingerboard, not the frets, but the fingerboard is level. It's time to begin running our sanding bar over this and see where we end up. So we've made our first pass over the fretboard. You can see up here where those divots were. They are now invisible. Right here at the 12th fret is where the fall away on this guitar begins. You can see that I have just barely touched that fret with the file. You'll notice that the top of that fret is still fairly round with respect to the frets adjacent to it. What I will do is I will put 2 pieces of tape over the top of this fret and continue that taper down to the end of the neck, so that this end of the sanding block will be lifted the thickness of 2 pieces of this blue avatar tape. After I've leveled and crowned the frets, there are a lot of guys that speak down on these. In the hands of a good operator and with a real steady hand, these are far more accurate than a triangular file. It's easy to hold something level. It's not easy to run something across a fret at the same exact angle every single time. That's virtually impossible. So you can see that my blue line is the same thickness on every single fret, and it is dead center of every single fret. They are just moments away from being polished, finished up to the point that I can pull tape off of this thing. I used paper over the body of the guitar. Gone the extra step to cover the sound hole with that and tape the whole thing off. So time to run some polish over these guys. We'll start with 600 grit. This was a 300 grit file, medium. It's a diamond file. I'll hit this with 600 grit then I will hit it with 800 grit, then I will hit it with 1000 grit, then I will hit it with 1500 and 2000, and then a polishing compound on top of that. These things will be bitchin'. 1500 grit on these frets, and as you can see, these things, I mean, if you bought a brand new guitar and your frets look this good, you paid a whole lot of money for that thing. 600, 800, 1000, now 1500. Now I'm going to hit it with some 2000. We'll take a picture of that and then we'll polish them. Had a pass with 2000 grit. You can see not much different than the 1500, but slightly better, and you can see that dull spot right on the top in the center of every fret. That's the flat spot. That's where the string makes contact with the fret. It's the same on every single one. You can see how that looks. It's beautiful. Time to polish these things with a polishing compound and what do they call those things? A roto hammer. Yeah, I'm going to use a roto hammer on this guitar. Here we are after polishing the frets. That is the end all. What these frets will look like. At least until they get gummed up from being played. Pretty darn sweet. I love this part of this job. It's really fun. And a lot of very intense and precise work goes into making them look like that.
That knows anything about overdrive pedals?
It's time, once again, for one of my favorite things to do to a guitar, and that's treat the neck with some oil. This is in almost every single video I do working on guitars, is treating the neck wood with oil. I know this one hasn't been treated for years. I'm sure that the wood is really loving this now, but look at how you can see the difference in this dry wood up here. Boom. Look at how much life is back in that wood after so many years of sitting around being dry. I'm going to, after I'm done oiling this thing up, going to be reworking the saddle. It's going to have to be replaced, and the owner will get the original saddle back, of course. Gonna have to do that. So there's your fretboard. Can't let the dust from the work that you do get on the finish of the guitar or anything like that. You kind of have to keep your workspace fairly clean. Here's the fretboard and the frets. I also oiled the truss rod nut, and that works great. We'll polish this thing up eventually here, but time to get to work on the saddle. I just discovered why the saddle is so low. I'm almost certain that this is the case. In fact, I know this is the case. This had an aftermarket pickup installed in it, which would have ridden underneath the saddle. You can see the hole down there through the bottom of the saddle piece. There's actually, it looks like somebody drilled a hole on this side and hit a brace, because they were going to insert the wire down through that side, so they moved that hole over to this side so they wouldn't hit a brace. In doing that, somebody has, in the meantime, someone has removed that pickup out of there, which makes this saddle too short. This is probably the original saddle that came in the guitar, so they would have had to file off the bottom of it. So if the saddle was, or if the pickup was in there, this would certainly be tall enough for the action, and the string action is low enough for me to believe. I mean, it's literally at the 12th fret. We're looking at, it was about 3/64 on the bass string, the low E string, and all about 3/64 on the high. Had this part been in there, it likely would have raised the action up to an acceptable level. So we are going to build a new saddle I'm gonna go eat lunch. I'm gonna go to lunch at Side A today, I think. They have great burgers and salads. Eat healthy. That's an important thing. And buy good guitars. And then when you buy a good guitar, bring it to a good guitar tech and have them set it up for you. And J200 is all done. We've anchored the wire for the pickup, removed a little bit of material off of this cork to lower the pickup height ever so slightly. I wasn't able to take too much off of there, but it's further away from the strings at this point, so it's still, it's pretty safe, but you're not going to be playing notes up here, so I'm not too worried about it. String actions back to Gibson specs at 5/64 and 4/64 up here. New saddle, manufactured a new saddle. We have some stock saddles. They fit pretty well. We just had to take a little bit off the edges to get the strings to line up correctly with the intonation adjustment on that. And I had to do nothing to the nut up here. The string action here is now about 18 thousandths of an inch, which is acceptable. Plays really nicely, sounds great. 0 fret buzz, shiny frets, freshly oiled fretboard. Just a beautiful guitar. Sounds wonderful. It feels really good in your guts to play it. So hit subscribe down there, over here, and hit the notification bell, and you'll get a note when I put up a new video. Peace, everybody.